Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Girls Gotta Talk.
I thought you were waiting for me to say what it is. I'm like,
No, you'll get an introduction. Give me a minute.
My bad.
Well, now that he's rudely interrupted, we have our first guest. Y'all, if you know, you know. Julian's back for this one episode. We're going to get kind of deep and into it on this one. Something you guys have probably been waiting for, but I didn't say whether or not this was coming out. So, surprise. This is like it's like a planned, unplanned. Like, we planned on eventually recording this. I didn't know why, or not why. I didn't know when. So with that being said, I don't know when this episode will actually be put out. I'm trying to think because I don't know if I'm going to put any intentions. My intentions in general, I said it in one of the last episodes, is that I want to get back into like YouTube. I feel like I've actually been more focused on the podcast lately than I have been on like my YouTube channel. So I definitely just want to put intentions out of being on YouTube. Like, I need to record a video soon. But do you have any intentions for yourself coming up?
I need to put a vlog up.
So back on YouTube as well?
I need to put a vlog up. I've been focused, like you, I've been focused on the reaction side of things, and I haven't done much for my personal channel, which had an article written about it, which is crazy.
I saw.
Right? Isn't that crazy? And it really like called me out because I haven't uploaded in over a month. I was like, dang.
Honestly, same.
He's saying all this nice things about my channel, and I haven't even uploaded in over a month. I don't deserve this article right now. I think
mine's been like 4 or 5 weeks right now, so that's why I'm like, I need to put one up too.
Yeah.
So with that being said, this intro is not going to be the same as any other episode because I don't know when this is coming out. But streaming platforms are still the same: Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, or we are here on YouTube, Girls Gotta Talk podcast. But you can stream this wherever you stream your podcast. Lately, I've been saying wherever you stream your platforms. Makes no sense.
That makes zero sense.
That's the
whatsoever.
first thing coming out of my mouth. I've definitely said that a couple times, and I'm like, stupid. All right, so I'm nervous, bro. I'm scared. This is probably the juicy info y'all have been waiting for. No one's declared whether or not this episode was coming out, but...
Can we talk about it, though? They probably don't even care.
You're lying to yourself.
I don't think they care about this.
No,
y'all tell me in the comments. I don't think they care.
If y'all are as nosy as I am, y'all care. Because if I was on the other end, I'd be waiting. I'd be like, what's the tea?
I don't know. I don't think I'd care, to be honest.
I would.
I care because it's me and I'm involved in it, but like outside of that, I don't think I'd care. You know?
I can't relate. I definitely would.
Dang, that's crazy. So do y'all really care about this? Y'all really want to know? I mean, I'm here for it. Let's go. Why don't you start us off? It's your house. I'm stepping into it. It's your arena now.
So we will start by addressing the elephant in the room. It was put up on our Alyssa and Julian, or it's not the Alyssa and Julian right now. Julian had taken it over for his, what are you putting up there? Reaction stuff?
Yeah.
He made it a VODs channel. I think I mentioned it before because I had said something about if like a random thing you're following, you're like, when did I follow this? It was the Alyssa and Julian Instagram. It is now, what's it called?
Julian VODs, I believe.
Yeah, so
Julian
it's a
VODs clips. I don't have my phone. I can't tell you.
It's a VODs channel.
Yeah.
We had posted a story on there.
My face is like this.
I saw that and I was like, what a picture. Weirdo. But we posted a story on there talking about going our separate ways. A lot of, well, I don't want to say a lot. Some people had thought it was like our channels, but we had already divvied up the work before this even happened. This was kind of like pre. We divided the work. Julian took over the reaction channel. I took over the podcast, hence the new name on the reaction channel, hence the new podcast name, hence now the new Instagram name. Hence is a weird word now that I've just said it so many times. But
hence you keep saying it.
We did put up a story that we broke up. It's been what?
Can I just say before we go further? Yes, we're still friends. Yes, we have a kid.
Yeah,
we were friends before we together. We're gonna be friends after.
We're gonna be civil. I might just fight him a couple times, but I'm just saying.
Always say civil like that. Like it's so painful for her to.
No, we are still really good friends. We're not like one of those weird couples that are like, you know how people are like, oh my god, like you're friends with your ex? That's so weird.
I feel like even if we didn't have him, we'd still be friends.
That was, I don't want to say like the reason, like we'll go into it in a minute, but we did say that we were much better friends. Well, you started off by saying it. We were much better friends than we were in a relationship, which it happens. Like it's not the worst thing in the world. We obviously are gonna still be friends, still be like
cordial.
Yeah, because we do have a child together.
We're gonna co-parent.
Yeah, that's basically gonna be our new role. But I don't know. That's just cat out of the bag. It's been like a month and a half, honestly. We put that up weeks, almost a month after we actually broke up. But
do you want to talk about how that decision was made to put that up?
What?
The post.
So Julian made the post. I told him that if he made one or did whatever, send it to me. I'd put it up, blah, blah, blah. But we wanted to give you guys, okay, so if you are coming from the reaction channel, I know some of you have come here. This used to be also the Alyssa and Julian podcast. I just rebranded it when I took over. If you guys are here from that, we had a really big community. Like you guys were amazing. So we did feel the need to give you guys like that information. We didn't just want to like leave you in the dark, leave you out of it for you not to know. Like we had a really big family over here. So we did decide to put it up so that, I don't know, almost you were all aware, I guess I would say. Like you guys had the information, you guys knew what was going on with us. It started with just us. You guys liked us. We grew a big family. We had JJ. You guys love JJ. JJ is still very well known on this platform, on every platform we have. So we did want to like put that out there for you guys. Like we did want you to know, we still appreciate any support you give us now that we are separated both on the internet and
off
live. I don't know, like in person,
on and off the internet.
So
oh geez, this is gonna be a long episode.
I mean, I don't know about you. I did have people hit me up asking if I was okay, like everything. They were like, oh, like you don't have to talk about it, but like I just want to make sure you're okay. Like I just want to check in. If you have done that, I definitely appreciate it. I love you guys so much. You guys are so like caring. Like every little thing happens and you guys are like, oh my God. I love it.
All right, we gotta stop procrastinating. You're gonna lose viewership. They want to hear the tea. They want the juice.
Oh, really? I thought you said they didn't care.
Come out here and say it.
I told you they cared. You know they care.
Come out here and say it.
Say what?
I don't know. Whatever you're gonna say. They're here for this. They're here for the tea. Listen. I don't think people are gonna care, but if you are here, if you're still here at this point, you care and you want to hear it.
They're waiting for it.
Yeah. So go ahead, give it to them.
All right. How do we want to start this?
Well, I guess I initiated it. I'm the one who, really, I mean, it was mutual, but I'm the one who really like initiated the conversation behind it.
Julian broke up with me.
Start. I think it was mutual.
That, it was very mutual. See, like, I don't know how to word things. So basically, I don't know what to say.
I got this. So I feel like basically Alyssa and I had transformed, and you might experience this if you live with your significant other, but like we got to this point where it was either you take the next step or
it wasn't going anywhere.
Or it doesn't go anywhere. And, obviously the next step is marriage, right? But like the problem is marriage is a huge commitment. And when there's a bunch of red flags in your relationship, you can't just jump in and go straight to marriage. And you can, people do it, but then our divorce rate is through the roof. I don't want to be part of that statistic. I'm being so serious. I don't want to be part of that statistic. I just wasn't expecting
you to say that. I don't either, honestly. I'm with that.
Yeah. So like for me, it was just more of like you became a roommate type of thing, and more of a roommate than a romantic partner, which is why this breakup hasn't been weird for us, because you are still just a roommate essentially. And
so with that being said, I'm going to interrupt that. So we are obviously, like I said, we have a child together. So it's a lot more to figure out than just we broke up and we're going to go separate ways. Like he said, we'd probably still be friends even if we didn't have JJ. But with that being said, it turns into a lot of, like we said, we're going to co-parent. It's not like we went through the divorce. So it's not like we have to go, honestly, through like a whole lot, I'd say.
Give me my alimony.
But anyways, we do have to figure out, we are still living together at the moment. There's a lot to figure out with that, because not only we would both have to find a place, and then depending on that, like obviously we'll probably I don't want to say split JJ, but I don't know.
Split custody. It's
right. Like we'd have to figure out who he'd be living with. I feel like he'd be living with one more than the other at that point. So we have to figure out daycare with.
Or you could do week on, week off.
Right. So we'd have to figure out with JJ, he have to get to daycare as long as someone's good to take him there, pick him up, my job, what you're doing during the day. Like there's a lot to figure out with him. But then there's also like, I don't know if you've thought about it. I know I mentioned it the other day. Is the thing with leaving here is if we left before like July, August area, we'd technically be breaking our lease. Right. And I know that's a whole separate fee to begin with as well. Right. So that's another thing to keep in mind. So it's like you're putting money out for the new place you're going to be into, and then you're still probably going to be paying for what we've lived here. Like what we would owe, because they'd probably still want some sort of rent for what we lived here. Plus you're going to be paying for breaking a lease. Like it's a lot altogether. I mean, honestly, not saying that like it'd be like, it's weird, but like not weird to still be living. But like, I don't know if we would go until like August. Like it's a weird concept to think about for me anyways.
You're giving them a lot of logistics. They want emotion.
Give me a minute. I'll probably start crying at some point. But
they don't want you crying, but they want to hear like your thoughts.
Okay, well, we're getting into it. So it is really weird. Okay, so I would say like, with that being said, it sounds like it wasn't awful. Like our relationship wasn't the worst thing.
It had gone downhill towards the end.
It had, okay, yep, that's what I was going to get into. So it hadn't been like, so we've been together for 4 years. We started dating in 2019. Right? Yeah. Wouldn't that have been so awkward if I got the year wrong and you'd been like, no, we didn't. So we started dating in 2019. So we've been together for 4 years. Not saying all 4 years have been awful. We obviously had ups and downs. Every couple fights, every couple goes through whatever. We definitely had one time in the past, we were on like a break, but it's another case where we were still living together. Like as soon as I know Julian has had his own place. As soon as I moved out of my parents' house, I've been with Julian. I haven't been on my own. I hadn't been with anyone else. Like when I moved out of my parents' place, ever since then, that was like what, 2020? I've been with Julian. You look like you want to say something.
I think that you need that time to experience.
See, but I had thought about that. I have definitely thought about that recently, actually, because I had always said to you that I wanted a place of my own. I had said that in the beginning before we bought a house, that I would like the like apartment setting, see what it's like, blah, blah, blah. Because that is one thing that makes me nervous now, is now I would have to live. I mean, like I said, I would have Buddy at some point, sometime. But for the most part, like, I'm looking for a place almost like for me. Obviously, it has to be suitable for him because I do have a child, but I've never lived on my own. So like the concept of now finding a place where I would be like solely by myself, it's weird. Like, it kind of scares me. It kind of freaks me out, but probably because I haven't done it. And like, if you know, you know. Me and change, we're not friends. I'm not a big person of like change, especially big drastic change like that in my life. So it does freak me out. And like, I feel like initially, like, I like looking at apartments. Like when we were looking for apartments, it was so much fun. But I feel like, why?
Because you're going away from the subject.
Stop talking. So no, it's not. I feel like I would be really excited in the moment, but then actually moving, I would be scared. And like I said, for the last 4 years, I've only been with you.
Right.
So it's weird. Mm-hmm. Okay, so go ahead. Since you want to be on topic.
Well, I just feel like, I don't know.
How is it on your side?
What do you mean? I don't have an issue with this. I have zero issue with living on my own. I've done it before.
Because you've done it before.
Yeah, I've done it before. Finding an apartment isn't hard. Like you said, I just don't want to pay any fees. But finding an apartment isn't hard. The only thing is, area wise, I would
have you looked
want to stay here. Yeah,
around here?
Yeah.
There's not a lot of places open.
We'll talk. Because like, you got to know what you're looking for, and you got to know where you're looking.
I guess.
Yeah, I got you. I'll help you out in that area. It's not that. It's hard to find if you're looking for. I know what you're doing wrong. I could tell what you're doing wrong.
All right. Anyways.
Yeah.
So back to topic then.
Yeah, back to topic.
So
By the way, before she goes, the reason why she's having such a hard time, I'm not sounding arrogant at all. It's just I'm from this area. She's not from this area.
Not.
That's why I say that.
I'm not at all.
Go ahead.
So, like I said, we've had ups and downs. We had a break at one point. That was another spot. We were living together. So taking a break when you're living with your significant other is really weird because you don't know how to navigate it. You're still going around like, I don't want to say like nothing's wrong, but it's not like, I don't know. It's not like it's like a separation, like one of you left to go somewhere else to take the break. Like we were still both living together. And then honestly, under circumstances, a lot obviously changed, I would say, when we had JJ. We maneuvered into parenthood, which obviously is a hard thing in general. That's a whole different change, obviously we had no idea what was going on. We're first time parents. That within itself is a whole different, how do you describe it? A whole different, like, it's like a whole new life. Like you're a whole new person. You're now a dad. I'm now a mom. We are now parents in a whole different lifestyle.
Are we gonna get deep now and take the gloves off?
You can, yeah.
We're taking the gloves off?
We can get deep.
Okay.
Why you gotta say it like that? That's weird.
Well, because I feel like we were dancing on the edge before.
Yeah,
but now,
we can get deep.
Now we
Cue the waterworks.
Now we got into parenthood.
Mm-hmm. This is where it really gets.
This is the internet, so I gotta watch what I say because guess what? This episode will still be live one day when he gets older and he can listen to this. I want you to understand where I was in this time. After you went back to work, I felt completely abandoned as a new dad, as someone trying to provide for my family, trying to sustain life the way it was. I felt abandoned. And I thought like, us moving might make things a little bit better. We'd be a little bit happier. It did not go that direction at all. It just got worse. The hard part was, I would work during the day with him. I'd be working. I was doing like grocery delivery stuff. So like I'd have like all these pounds of groceries, right? Wearing myself out. And then at night I'd have to, after she gets home, she puts him to bed. I'm out working again. Whether it be like Ubering or, doing more delivery stuff, just out here grinding. And that was a lot, man. It felt like the pressure of everything was on me. Financial pressure, emotional pressure. And I don't want to say like, I don't know how to word it, because I guess there was a certain level of like, I get you were working, but there was a certain level of like, I don't want to say pat on the back, because it's not so much a pat on the back, but there's a certain level of like, yo, my man's down. Like, let me get underneath him and like, help hold him up type of thing. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like,
it does. I get what you're saying.
Like, he's emotionally beat up. Like, let me like, like go underneath, like pick him up on the shoulder. Like, you okay, man? Like, you got this. You're doing great work. You know what I mean? Like that type of, so like the disassociation I felt from you was probably the hardest, most damaging part of that, because it was like, I'm doing all this and then you were pretty much like checked out.
Yeah. I was going to say, like, that's what you were looking for, but I was not there to like give it. It definitely was, because at first I would honestly say I didn't see it. At first it was not even like processed to me, I guess you could say. I was out of work from the end of February because I was 8 days late. Or I don't want to say I was. JJ was 8 days late. I had taken off the last. I wasn't waiting. It wasn't on me. It was on him. He was the one calling the shots. I was out of work the last weekend in February. JJ was due the first week of March. I stopped working. My last day was honestly, I think like February 25th, 26th. JJ was due March 8th. He didn't come until March 16th. So I had a little more time between when I was done with work and when I thought I'd be giving birth, and then was continued to be out until the first weekend in June. So I had the little bit of time between when I had left my job on maternity leave and gave birth, and then still had like 3 months almost home with JJ. It was nice because it gave you, like, that's what they call it bonding time, to obviously bond with your new child. I would say it was really nice, but I didn't think about how it would be afterwards. Granted, at the time, it was when I was in my last job and I was right around the corner, like not even 5 minutes from work. So like going back to work was really hard for me, because it's one of those things where it's like I was just with him for 3 months and now I have to leave him, go to work for 8 hours and like come home. It was still hard. And then coming home, like, not saying obviously being a mother is easy. It's definitely not easy, but I enjoyed being home more than being at work at that point. The more after I went back, the more I started to work, it kind of took a really like bad toll on me, I'd say, because if you know, like, I'm not one to just drop and go. I don't know. It was not me. I couldn't like focus on both. I couldn't like, I have to go. I have a kid now. I was like, okay, like I got to finish this and then I'm leaving. Like I could have easily just been like, hey, you have to finish this for me. Like I got to go. So of course I'm going into work already scheduled 8 hours because I'm full time. Now I'm pushing myself even more at work, and then coming home and still trying to be a mother, still trying to be myself, still trying to be a girlfriend. And honestly, all of those at once to me was really hard. I didn't know how to balance it. I didn't know how to do it. So I feel like I started taking different pieces and like being just that one and letting the other ones down, I would say. So I did take work when I was at work. That was my one hat I was wearing. So then at home, I wasn't coming home right away. So at that point, I'm putting like motherhood behind. I'm putting girlfriend behind. I'm putting like everything needed at home on like a lower totem pole, which definitely should not have been what I was doing. With that being said, when I was at home wearing my motherhood hat, I was putting girlfriend lower on the totem pole. I was being not as supportive and like there as I should have been, which just started to make a decline like as time went on. So here we are now. He was born in 2022, so even the beginning of 2023, we're still at the same point. We were still trying to balance it all, but I would say I couldn't balance it all. But it took me a while to like realize that. I don't know how to word it. Like
it took you. So basically what she's saying is it took her until we broke up to realize like, hey,
I mean, I don't want to say it was until we broke up. It probably was before that, but at that point I felt like I was so far deep that I didn't know how to.
I think that my other issue is
I'm going to start crying.
That's okay.
This is going to be some waterworks.
We're there. This is the point of the episode, I guess. I think the hardest part for me too was I'm a over communicator.
I'm not.
So I was throughout the process, like what I'm saying to you guys right now is nothing she hasn't heard before. Because
which kind of makes this episode easier, but like not easier because it's actually being said out loud.
Yeah. It's like, you know, something that I was sharing constantly, but like, I don't know if you guys have ever experienced this when you're saying something, you're voicing something that you feel is wrong or you feel wronged, and like a person doesn't respond. That hurts more almost than saying nothing at all. Mm-hmm. Because it starts to really see, now you're gonna get me all this. But like it starts to make you feel devalued as a person, as a man. It's like, you know, like, dang, am I not worth my needs being met? You know, and then you start to question your self-worth, and then, you know, you start having like, you know, mental like things in your head about like, am I not good enough? Is it me? Like, and then, you know, just starts to spiral out of control. December 2023 was probably, no, sorry, December 2022. Yeah, we're not there yet.
I was gonna say we haven't even hit that yet.
December 2022. No, it wasn't December.
That was his first Christmas.
It was, I would say July 2022 was the loneliest I think I've been in my entire life. And I think for someone to be in a relationship, live with their significant other, and say that they're lonely says a lot. It says a lot, you know? And that's just the reality of the situation. You know, this is why I said if we're taking the gloves off, because like it feels weird. I don't, you know, want to come out here and just be like, you know, this is what I was going through. But like, I'm quiet. I don't, you know, tell all these things. Like we'll sit there on camera and you won't see it, you know?
If we're putting everything out there, there were a lot of times that like we would have like a little bicker, have a fight, whatever, but then sit and try to record reactions, which is also why we decided to also separate that, because it wasn't going well. It wasn't.
Can I talk about that?
Yeah, go ahead.
I literally got to the point where I just didn't want to sit and record with you anymore. Like in general, I just got to that point because something like we were watching couples a lot of times. We were reacting to couples. Things would happen and you would do something or say something and relate to it, and it would just make me bitter. No, seriously, it would. It would make me bitter because it's like, how are you relating to that right now? You know what I mean? And stuff like that would be so hard to just sit there and not say anything because I'm very expressive.
Yeah.
And if I'm seeing that and I'm like, I can't just do that.
It made it really weird and like, I don't want to say uncomfortable, but it definitely made it like a weird instance, I would guess.
even doing this though, when we were doing the podcast, like a lot of times, like some of the topics we talk about, like, and we'd say, I just would be like, what? Like, I don't know. I would get bitter.
It got really hard. So I feel like divvying up the work, we were both okay with it. It was both like not like oh my God, we should have done that. But like when the time came, we were like, okay, this is a really good idea. You'll have this, I'll have this. You're like, Julian had more time for the reactions to begin with. I'll get into that in a minute, but Julian had more time anyways, so it was smart for him to take over. And then I started doing solo episodes on the podcast to begin with. So then for me just to take it over made that easier for me. So for both our timing sakes and like all the outside work we were doing, like my obviously 9 to 5, Julian's whole like self-employed almost, whatever he was doing that day, it gave him more time to do that. So it just worked really well in our favor, to be honest. So we were both kind of okay with that option, I guess you would call it. But to go back to July 2022, to put in perspective, that was 4 months. JJ was 4 months at the time. Julian had gone away. So that was the first time I had been alone with JJ. Granted, he was 4 months old. I don't want to say it was the hardest, but it like wasn't the easiest. Like he slept a lot. Like that was just the time he just slept, ate, went back to sleep. He did go on a family trip. I told him I wasn't going to stop him. It was for his cousin's graduation. They went on a cruise. I had found out I was pregnant and I backed myself out. At first you weren't going to go. You weren't going to go either. But I had told him if they can figure it out and like still get it to work, I wasn't going to stop him from going. Nothing really like was happening. It was like July 4th. Like you missed his first July 4th. It's not like he saw fireworks anyways. Yeah. I think if there were other like bigger circumstances and you were missing a first, I don't know if you would have been as upset. I feel like as a mother, like moms take firsts way more like to heart than dads do.
A first 4th of July, I'm like,
but wow. First 4th of July was really nothing. I even thought the same, but I was like, I'm not gonna stop you from going like on your family, like a vacation. Like being alone in the time did scare me because I didn't know how to like raise a child. Like not that either of us really knew how, but the fact that I now had a newborn and I was going to be by myself scared the crap out of me. Like it was definitely a scary time. Obviously we made it through. It was fine. But that like was definitely, I don't know, just a moment where it was like, oh my God, like I really have to do this.
Not to be funny.
Oh boy.
I just, seriously though, like I want to know if you were thinking about this. In that time though, when you were alone that week, did you not think like, oh, this is what he's doing every day?
See, in that time, I didn't.
You see what I'm saying though?
Yeah, but that was also like, at that point, I was only a month back to work. I had been a month back to work and then already taking a week off because obviously like I had to be with JJ. I hadn't thought about it because I think it was so, to me, little of time. I didn't realize it had been that bad already. Granted, like I said, taking care of a newborn isn't easy. Like I probably could have figured it out if I really sat and thought about it, but I wasn't thinking like that deep into it, I guess you would say. Mm-hmm. I didn't realize that you were already like mentally, physically, like emotionally already going through all that. And it didn't like quite hit me because like, so because he's self-employed, I mean, he could have taken his own time off, but then again, like you're missing out on money. I was getting money in through maternity leave, but obviously like I wasn't making enough to be like enough for the both of us type of situation. So Julian did have to go and work. So a lot of the times while you were out, like I was with him, like I said, this was a period where he slept a lot. Like he slept, he woke up to eat, he went back to sleep, blah, blah, blah. I think the only thing that really took a toll on me during that time was trying to breastfeed. because I really tried and attempted it, but because like between trying, this is probably like not to be TMI, but like the breastfeeding going into pumping, and by the time you're done pumping, like he was getting more food. Like it was just a lot for me in that moment, where that's where I decided I was not going to breastfeed. Plus, it's not like breastfeeding was going super easy for me anyways.
He wasn't latching.
He wasn't latching at first. You had to like switch back and forth. He was not feeling it. It was, I don't want to say hurting because he hadn't done it much.
He's always been impatient with his food though. Like he's just mad impatient. That's where I should have known it from. But he's always been impatient.
Trying to breastfeed in that time, it was just not working. So I was getting tired. I was getting frustrated. He was hungry. He was getting frustrated. Then we had to make him bottles. I know you had said something about decide whether or not you're doing it. Like you can't be switching back and forth because they were basically saying if you're breastfeeding, like you're breastfeeding. You're giving him what he needs through that and kind of using a bottle to supplement. Like you shouldn't be, oh, I'll start this. Okay, well,
even then, they told you like by the time you left the hospital, they wanted you to have one decided.
Right,
much.
And I didn't. I definitely was still going back and forth. They were trying to help me in the hospital, trying to do it. I had gone to doctors outside when I was done with the hospital, like when I was home. Trying to figure out how to help me and blah, blah, blah. That's when I was like, dude, it's not working. Like I'm getting frustrated. I'm getting uncomfortable. He wants food. I'm not that I wasn't supplying, but because I hadn't really been doing it, nothing was really coming.
And he lost weight.
He had lost weight. They almost had to monitor him to stay in the hospital, which they said a child loses weight in the hospital anyways, but he was at the borderline where they had to monitor and maybe even keep him a little longer because he had lost so much weight. And then at that point, like I had also had a C-section. So trying to maneuver around at first from C-section scar was awful. It hurt so bad. I had staples. I had to wear this thing covering it until I got the staples removed. I was basically, the living room in our house had turned into my bedroom because I couldn't use stairs. And of course our bedroom was upstairs. So JJ and I had to live downstairs in the time being. So at that point, like if I had to get up to feed him or get him in the middle of the night, like I was not by myself. Like I'm sure if I like called you or did something, like obviously you'd come down, but like in the moment, like I was by myself. So all that honestly had also taken a toll on me. C-section was harder than I thought it would be. Even like in the hospital, getting up to use the bathroom, like I couldn't move. It hurt so bad. Trying to pee hurt. Literally just sitting there and like trying to go to the bathroom, like attempting, hurt so bad. They had to come in and like push on my stomach. So that was just all this pain I was thinking about. So I feel like there were a lot of, I don't want to say outside factors, but just factors on my end that also took a toll on me where like, so mentally I was not thinking of a lot of other circumstances. I had to get myself right, honestly, to be able to move, first of all. But then when I went back to work, I don't know. I feel like mentally I declined really bad. I declined so bad mentally because then I was at work. I had I don't want to say work drama, but I had a lot of work stuff going on. So that was it's
tension,
part of mental load. So then I come home, I'm not being like provider almost. So that's a mental load.
Well,
then you have motherhood. That's a whole other mental load.
There's a word for it. It's compartmentalization.
That's a big word.
It is, but it's like it's being able to put work in the works box and family and home in its own box.
Yeah, I definitely was not. Like I couldn't figure out how to do it all. And then
not to mention in that time, not to cut you off, but in that time, because work was bad, you're now at the point where you're coming home snippy with me, with an attitude with me.
For no reason.
And I'm like, whoa.
Like it's all work stuff.
I got this going on.
But because I had left work, like, I don't know. I don't usually take things out like on people. Like, yeah, okay, I might give you this attitude or give you this attitude like at work wise. I never got into like fights or really bickers with anyone. So a lot of stuff was also just pent up inside of me. And then by the time I left work, like I said, I lived so close at the time. It's not like it's all like draining or, okay, this has to be out of sight, out of mind type of situation. I still had it in me. So by the time I went home and I got frustrated over, I don't know, like this needed to be done or this needed to be done, right off the bat, unfortunately, you were the one there to take it.
I was a casualty.
He was just who happened to be there. He was just who happened to take it. None of it had anything to do with him, but just in a situation, if I was home, something got to me.
And this was almost daily. Like,
yeah.
This was very, very often. I was like, yo. Yeah.
He got that smoke.
So this is literally, I'm glad we're talking about July, because this is literally pretty much all July and August. All of it, coming back and working how it's working.
I feel like it honestly ended up worse after that then, because end of August, early September, we moved.
When we moved and went to playlist and everything.
So,
but that playlist changed for me from after playlist, if I'm being honest. That's when I met Tia, I met the crew, and I actually had friends and, online people who I feel are like-minded and understand me.
There was also a lot going on. There was also a lot going on at the end of August, early September. We had gone away to a vacation in Florida. We had gone away for a weekend. We were moving at the same time, so we had sold the house. Before we left for Florida, we moved out of the house. So we sold the house, moved out, didn't have anywhere to go because between when we sold the house and when we moved into this apartment was a couple days.
So also, now that we brought up the house, so basically, I don't know if any of you guys have a house, but if you don't know, running a house is like running a business. So now we're adding this to my plate too. Not to mention, there's baby, there's all the work I got to do while having the baby. Then there's, the house stuff on top of all the tension that we had. So that was a big reason for me. I was like, I can't do this. I got to get rid of something. I had made a video on my old channel about all the hats I was wearing. And I realized, I was like, this is part of my mental struggle. I need to get rid of one of these hats. And the only one that made sense at that time was to sell the house and move, and move closer to family and, it was almost like retreating a little bit.
We also knew like we didn't want to raise our son up there where we were living. It just wasn't good. It wasn't good for us personally, but I also don't think it would have been good for him.
100% no.
So by the time we moved out, they did let us put our stuff in this apartment, but we hadn't gotten the keys yet. There were a couple days in between our house and this apartment. So as we're trying to move, I'm still kind of working a day or two, coming down here, but we were we were staying at a hotel for a couple days. And then we had stayed at his grandmother's place until like 3 a.m. because then we had to leave for the airport. We weren't going to do another night in a hotel to leave like in the middle of the night, if that makes sense. So between that, then going on vacation and then leaving the vacation was kind of the same because again, we had left in the middle of the night in Florida as well to go to the airport. So we didn't have a hotel room the last night we were staying. In the lobby. So, but with all that, like it was just hard because now we
enjoyed that though.
I didn't mind it, but it was hard with JJ because I'm trying to like put him not to sleep, but yeah, I don't know. Like I wish I could have just gone to like either just sit there and have him like chill a little bit. I mean, granted, luckily he slept on the plane, which was good, but just being like out and about, like if it was just us, I think it would have been perfectly fine. But we now had a kid involved, so I feel like it made it a little harder. Yeah,
well, it's just like all the creators were coming in the hall, and we got to meet so many people that night. I enjoyed that so much. Just not even just because they're creators, but just so many people, so many cool people came by, talked to us, and we're just like hanging out because we were just sitting in the lobby. I don't know. Yeah, that type of stuff is like what I enjoy. I enjoy meeting people.
I feel like this move, I feel, is what this is where it started to take a really bad toll on me mentally, was moving. because I was still at where I was on my 9 to 5. So then now my 5-minute ride turned into a 40-minute ride. We're gonna put him on blast to a spot I was going where I wasn't happy. Working, I hated it. I hated that place. It was not good for me. The surrounding, like people there, it was always something going on. So being at work took a mental toll on me, and then the drive home and then trying to balance everything out. This is definitely where I started to take a really bad mental decline.
We were so this this one was really hard for me. We were in Florida celebrating our son's first birthday. We are in the happiest place on earth, Disney World, fighting.
Yeah.
That was hard, and it was like I couldn't even. If you asked me why, I couldn't even tell you.
I don't even remember what happened.
I don't know. You know, and it was just like...
We had originally gone to Florida for my cousin's wedding, but she did have it like 4 days before JJ's first birthday. So we had decided while we were down there and family was going to be down there. Well, my family, obviously for my cousin's wedding, was going to be down there. We invited parts of Julian's to meet us down there, and we would all just be together celebrating. We didn't want to go down there, do something down there, come home, do something up here. Like, it was just too much.
All right. Can I be honest?
What?
I spent so much money on that trip too. That was the hard part.
Don't tell me about that. I was, for a year after, I swear, was still trying to catch up financially.
So I flew my mom out, which, you know, that's like a...
Flights aren't cheap.
Not even that, though. I don't care about the money.
I was kidding, but...
that's like a son's dream. Like, if there's any guys watching this, like, they'll get it. Like, being able to fly my mom out, buy her Disney passes.
For her to be there, yeah.
You know, making sure she could eat.
We didn't do, like, crazy passes.
We did the hopper pass.
Yeah, we did,
it was like a 2-day... Well, we got 3-day, and I got her 2-day. But, like, just to be able to do that and be able to afford that at that time, which is crazy because... Excuse me. I spent all that and I came back fine. I was not thrown off. Like, I don't know. It didn't throw me off. And I think that's what really made me feel good.
I came back fluffed up.
I think
it ripped me a new one.
I think that the idea of being self-employed and all that, like, and where I'm at with life, it just proved to me that I'm doing fine, you know, and I needed that trip because I needed to see that, you know, all these people who were saying in the beginning, oh, you probably should work. You probably need a job.
That's what I'm saying. I had a 9 to 5 and I got fluffed up.
You know, they were all kind of reaping the benefit almost of my labor and, you know, all the things they told me not to do. So that part was really cool for me.
That's definitely something from that trip that like really like was a toll. I came back financially really bad. It took me a while. And by a while, I mean, I just recently got back on my feet. But from there on, like...
we spiraled out of control.
It was really bad. I started to... So like I said, I went to this job I was not happy at. A 40-minute drive there, 40-minute drive back. By then, it was... a few different things that were getting me mentally because at that point I felt like I was so far from home that it was turning me into a bad mom because I feel like I wasn't there for JJ as much as I should have been. But then at the same time, when I came home from work, I was trying to like be there for him as much as I can and trying to do all this stuff that I was still putting girlfriend, significant other on a very, very back burner. It probably wasn't even like I wasn't thinking like this is what I had to do. Like I have to balance it. I was so caught up in trying to be like the good mom that I felt like I wasn't, that everything else I wasn't even thinking about. I was like, sorry, can't. And I feel like that caused a lot of beef between us.
Well, I'll be honest. The one thing that I felt you were starting to become bad at too. because I felt like we were really good roommates at one point. But then you started to become really bad at that. And when you became bad at, like, listen, I get it, you know, bad girlfriend for a period of time. Like, people go through things happen. Like, I tried to be understanding. I tried to be there. But when you become a bad roommate on top of it, that's hard, you know, because that's like, that puts the pressure of everything now is on my shoulder. And I have to carry everything. So now the hat that I thought I was getting rid of by selling the house and, you know, moving on from that experience, I gained it back because now I'm...
And like a different perspective almost.
Right. Now I'm carrying, you know, you're home in bed with him or hanging out with him after I, you know, am now back out working again.
Right.
A second time. You know what I mean? And it's like, I already did this today. Like, if it were...
And I feel like you weren't even like working for you at that point. You were also working for me because I was still like so financially like dug deep somewhere that...
Well, and you know
it's
what?
not like I had another job. I had my regular. And so if we were short on something, like Julian was the one to go out and make up for it. So he was working for like... We split just like a lot of bills. Like, we don't have like you pay this, we pay this. Like, we just split a lot of bills.
Down the middle.
So if I have part of whatever bill I had that I couldn't, like I didn't have at the moment, Julian was out trying to do his half and then making up for mine. A lot of times.
I'm a very traditional man though. Like, at the end of the day, if you said, I need you to go make this money for me, like, I'm like, cool, I'll go make that money. Where I draw the line is... I'm not going to be used. I
was going to say, I don't want to say I took it for granted, but I can see like where it would show that that's how I was. But I also like, I don't know, I wasn't going to be like, oh, go do this. Like, I don't have it. Like,
it got to the point where it felt like it because...
Right. I didn't show I appreciated it.
Not just that, but you almost showed, you got to the point where you showed you expected it.
Right.
Because you were like, I don't have it. I'm like
that's going to be your problem now.
Yeah, you basically literally like, we're like, it's your problem now. And it's like,
I don't have it, you got to figure it out. But it wasn't like he did it, like no questions asked type of situation. But I didn't show like appreciative toward it.
It got to the point where your car went in the shop. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, like, here's the money, go get it. You know, and half the time I didn't even get a thank you. Mm-hmm. I felt like, you know, and we're not talking we're not talking about like, you know, $100, $200. Like, we're talking about almost like $1,000. Yeah. Like $1,000. I'm like, all right, here you go get it out. Like, I don't want to sound like I'm rolling like that. 'Cause I'm not. I just work when I care about somebody, I put my all into it and I work very hard.
Yeah. Like, we had the money that was supposed to be for something else, that we had to use now for another circumstance. But that situation, like, that was probably one of the harder times for me too, because that's when I really was like pro. Like, it's one of those moments where now you're looking at everything and you're like, at that point it's like, oh, what else could go wrong type situation. And then something comes up and you're like, holy hell, like, when do you catch a break? Like, at this point you just don't get one. Like, everything just keeps hitting you. And like, as deep as you are, or as deep as I was in like a mental drought almost, like something else hits you and now you're trying to fight that as well. So then you're just rolling like deeper and deeper and deeper.
I'll be honest with you. I definitely checked out. I'll tell you when I checked out. You'll probably understand this. So my birthday came. She's going to deny it. If I called her today, she'll deny it. My mom forgot my birthday. And, you know, with everything I had going on mentally, like, that's the last thing I needed, to be honest with you. So my mom forgot my birthday. And then, you know, my birthday came and Alyssa looks at me and says, oh, happy birthday. I didn't get a card. She didn't make me breakfast. I just was like, you know, and
there was nothing.
At least, you know, my point was like, all right, at least just have our son, you know, give me a card, because you got, you know, teach him. Like, this is what you do, you know, to show people that you appreciate them. especially like mom and dad type of thing, you know. But I'll be honest with you, after that I really checked out, because it was like, wow, like, so, you know, I couldn't even get something small that day, you know. It was really just like all right, it's just another day. And yeah, that hurt my feelings. I'm not gonna lie, that really hurt my feelings. You know, when you do a lot like that, it's just, you know, and I'm not saying you had to go out and buy me a PS5, like, you know, like
just like a $5 card would have sufficed.
I don't even need the money. I don't need a card.
No, I'm saying like the $5 to buy the card.
No, I'm just saying I don't even need that.
I thought you were saying like $5.
No, I don't even need that. Awkward. I don't even need that. Like
breakfast.
Again, it doesn't have to be that, but just some sort of like effort into showing like, hey, I appreciate you. I appreciate everything you do around here. Like, I'm glad you're here another year. You know, like, it's a blessing to see another year. Like, waking up every morning is a blessing. And, you know, I've been through a lot. I've been through stuff. So, like, making it to 26 is a big deal. Like, I've had odds stacked against me, you know? I think that if, you know, someone's important to you, there's ways that you could show them they're important to you. And it doesn't take money always. Right. You know?
I feel like another weird part, this has nothing to do with what you just said, that was like getting to me too, is like, obviously we were having problems at home. No one really knew. It's not like I was going and like talking to people, because half the time I didn't know what to say, because part of me wasn't realizing everything that was going on. So it's like, because we lived up there, a lot of people at work knew you. They've seen you before. They've seen you go around. They like to see you. They like to see JJ, blah, blah. Even people that, I feel like everyone where I worked knew you. So a lot of people would always go around like asking about you, asking about JJ, trying to see you, having to like see you, like, oh, when is he coming in, blah blah blah.
Yeah, that's just me.
Just knowing how we were and how we have seen them and everything, a lot of people complimented like our parenting. Like, they would say like we were really good parents, blah blah blah. So it was really weird to have them like ask and like talk about us on like good terms. Meanwhile, like, we weren't on good terms sometimes. So like, we could go in a fight, or like we would have a fight, and then I go into work. Obviously they know nothing about it, but they want to like bring you up. How are you? How's the baby? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, like, it's like one of those moments where it's really weird. And like, you have to, like, you're putting on, like, I'm putting on a front almost, being like, yeah, blah, blah.
Well, that's how it felt in videos for me, to be honest. Like I said, where I was like, I don't want to record with you anymore. It would be all the time.
It's not even like, even if we weren't fighting, like, they would obviously just be asking, because like I said, everyone knows you. But like, it would be those times where like we weren't good. We hadn't been good type of situation. And like, all of a sudden, like, everyone wants to ask. And I'm like, about that. No. But like, obviously I didn't say anything. So it's just like an awkward thing. And I feel like, with my facial expressions, like, I don't hide a lot on my face. So I'm sure like I probably looked either uncomfortable or awkward, but I wasn't gonna like obviously get into it. So they're just kind of going along with it. And I'm just like, that might
be why they asked. They might could sense it on you.
I mean, maybe.
Some people are like that.
I'm not good at hiding it facial expression wise. Body language might be a different thing, but it's written all over my face. No matter what it is, it's written all over my face. If we're gonna get into it, I know there's definitely been times where we've had fights. I'm a very sensitive person, so it's not like it was that bad sometimes of a situation. But whenever, like, my outlet for a lot of things is crying. I'm upset, I cry. Happy, cry. Uncomfortable, I either laugh or I cry. Mostly, like, both. But, so there were times where, like, one night, like, I'd be crying because, like, I would just be, like, either uncomfortable or upset or something. And then I, like, go into work and people are like, oh, like,
See, that got hard for me too.
You look tired. And I'm like, no, I just spent the whole night crying. Leave me alone. Like, I don't want to talk about it. But like, I hate, one of my biggest pet peeves is for someone to look at me and be like, oh, you look tired.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I am a mother. Like, I'm gonna be tired. Don't freaking call me out on it. You're just telling me I look like shit. I don't want to hear it. But that was one of the hardest things for me, is then to go in being like granted, yeah, I probably was tired, but like for me to just be like, yeah, like I'm just exhausted. Obviously not trying to go through anything I had just went through that night, but I feel like then the next morning I'm like, dude, my face is so swollen. Like people like probably knew, but no one's gonna like come up and ask.
So like, I want y'all to understand the degree. So this is where I said that got hard, because like I will tell Alyssa, hey, I'm feeling alone right now or something like that, and she's just go cry. Like
literally,
that's I don't know. That's hard because it's like,
and that's where
I just want to talk about it.
That's what I was just gonna say. A lot of times he would want to talk, and like I don't know what to say half the time. So like I don't know what to say, so I just sit there silent, and that would drive him crazy because like he just said, he wants to talk, but most of the time like I didn't, so I would just sit there and like stare at him, trying to take everything in and not really expressing a lot. So then when he would get more and more upset with me because I'm not doing what I should have been doing, then I just sit there and start crying. So then it just makes the situation worse, because at that point I'm crying, so I don't want to talk.
It's like talking to a wall.
Yeah.
Because like, it's not even just the fact that like she's not responding. She just has zero emotion on her face. It's literally just like.
If you're listening, if you're an audio listener, you have no idea what's going on right now. But
yeah.
if you're watching here on YouTube,
it's just literally like the blankest stare ever. And it's like,
and I'll just stare at you.
It was so like, I don't, it's like disassociation. And it's like,
I'm really weird in that sense, because in the moment I take a lot in and I don't like to talk right then and there. Literally, if you came up to me the next day, we could have a conversation.
Nah, you say that, but then the next day you wouldn't want to have a conversation.
Sometimes I'm like that, because other than that, like in the moment, no, I don't. Like I'm really not like I'm not a, what's it called?
Confrontational.
I'm not a confrontational person at all. I try to avoid any type of confrontation I can have. I hate it. I get really uncomfortable. That's also where I'll start crying. So that's my biggest problem as well. Like I could definitely admit to that one. I am really weird though, because I can have a full on conversation if you like message me. Like I won't have a lot of face to face. He could text me while I'm at work and I'll have a full conversation. Which would also drive him crazy, because he'd be like, why couldn't you just say this to my face? And I'm like, I don't know. I just think of it now. Like I'm out of the situation. I'm not face to face. I'm not confrontational right now. Like I'm through a text, like I'm through a phone, which is kind of like really weird, but like I can get a lot more out that way, and I don't know how to break it. I just don't like confrontation. Like it makes me really uncomfortable. So in the moment, like most of the time, I don't know what to say or what to feel almost. Like I'm just numb at that point. It's so bad. It's so bad. I do feel like there had to be, I can't even pinpoint a moment, but there definitely is a moment where I just became numb altogether, because all like different things would happen and I would just be like what else is new? Like, of course, it's always me, like that type of situation. Which is also just a mental load.
And that's a quick way to like get under my skin too, because I'm like, what are you talking about? But like I'm hearing all this now. I want you guys to understand, I'm hearing all this now for the first time. Like the whole like not being a good mom thing and all that, I'm hearing all this now for the first time. You see what I'm saying? So like that's like a hard thing. Even before, when you told me we were gonna sit here and record this, it's hard because I had no idea what you were gonna say. I feel like you could have like an idea in your head of what I was going to say.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna plan this. I wasn't writing anything down. It kind of just would have been straight conversation. Mm-hmm. we have had little talks. I did say like we were going to save a big talk for this podcast. Because depending on how the conversation went, I feel like depending on who said what, which I feel like is a much better like situation almost, as weird as that is.
Yeah.
But I wasn't one to sit here and have this conversation twice, if that makes sense. So we definitely could have talked about this. Like I said, we've been broken up for almost 2 months now. And we haven't had this conversation yet. I definitely, depending on what we've been through, I definitely didn't want to sit here and have it twice, because if we had it off this podcast, I don't think I would have recorded this episode, because I definitely would not have wanted to relive most of these moments again. Well, maybe for like a third, fourth time, depending on the moment. I
will tell you this, though. I will say this. A lot of this, you know, with me saying I've never heard any of this before, it's not because I didn't say, hey, you know, you can talk to me. Like, you talk to me, you know, communicate with me. Like, I left the door open because I always wanted to have this type of conversation with you. You know, like this is the type of conversation that I wanted. Seriously, it's just, you know, two adults talking out what is actually happening and how they feel about everything that's happening in front of them. And I think that something like this literally could have been really huge in the moment.
It definitely could have been.
You know,
I'm not quite the best with them because I just sit here crying, but
I didn't come on here to make you cry either.
I knew it was gonna happen eventually. Yeah. I didn't know when.
I'm surprised I made it through, to be honest.
What was gonna be said for me to start the waterworks, but I did not, like, I could have told you I wasn't gonna make it through this episode without crying. I'm surprised I've talked as much because I thought I'd be like crying so hard that I like wouldn't be able to talk, but
no, you did great.
Yeah, I knew this was gonna happen.
I think that if you guys could take anything away, like the main reason why I was okay with wanting to do something like this and coming on here, I want to educate people about the maintenance required in relationships. You know what I mean?
For both parties,
right?
Obviously.
Right. A relationship isn't just like, hey, like, you know, this is my girlfriend, you know, just for Instagram pics and whatnot. Like, there's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot that you have to do. There's a lot of love and care you have to have for the other person, you know,
and for yourself,
and 100%.
I definitely
100 times over for yourself. I think love yourself first.
I was just gonna say, I think if I did more for myself earlier, I probably would have been maybe better altogether. Honestly, for myself, for JJ, and for you.
I agree. No,
that's definitely somewhere I went wrong, but
I will tell you this. Another reason why it's so easy for me to articulate this, like I did a few sessions. I did like a month of therapy. You know,
I need to try that.
I did a month of therapy and it was game changer, you know? Like just really saying like, hey, how do I feel? And then I started doing my daily check-ins on my journal and stuff, and that stuff, getting that stuff out and understanding how I was feeling, the emotions I was going through, why I was going through them, like was really big for me.
I feel like that's I don't want to say where I struggle, but probably where I struggle, because I mean, granted, you have to get comfortable with a therapist. I feel like I need to be comfortable with who I like talk to, because I do that even with my friends. Because I could say not a lot of people know about this like at all, or even like circumstances. Because I didn't talk to anyone because I didn't know who to talk to or even what to say type of situation. Probably because I wasn't registering like what was going on to myself to begin with. But I feel like I pushed a lot of emotions back.
I was just going to ask you that actually.
I put a lot back to not have to face it. I think I just put it on the back burner, and I don't know. For me, like, I should have been more into like connection with myself, but the one thing I really was trying to be in connection to was him. That's the one thing that hit me the hardest. Was feeling like a bad mom.
See, you're trying to get me upset now. You should talk to me about this sooner. Because I would have never even let that notion stay in your brain if you actually had talked to me about it sooner. We could have nipped that in the bud early on, because I did not think you were a bad mom the whole time. Even with what I was going through, like, I didn't attribute that to you being a bad mom at all. It was just, in my head, it was what I was supposed to be doing. It just, to me, wasn't appreciated. It wasn't the circumstance itself. It was more so like, I didn't like your response to the circumstance, I guess. And I think that really derailed me. Because I think around baby shower time, like, had we stayed the way we were around baby shower time, we probably would be like looking into like getting married soon. You know, like, we would have been looking into like, you know, rings and locations and all that other stuff. But relationships go through things, and I think a big way to determine if someone's going to be your long-term partner is how they handle adversity, you know, and if that brings you together or tears you apart. And in this case, it tore us apart, you know?
I mean, well, because that's another thing too. Like, everything I went through pregnancy wise, like, you were always there. I went through a lot of stuff. That was my job. Well, I mean, yeah, job, but man. Like, I don't know.
Like,
because what? So, we found out we were pregnant before we went away for one of my birthday weekends, and then came back and told people. So that was like a weird thing. Like, we sat in a whole other state just finding out we were gonna have a baby.
And she was sick the entire time.
And no one knew. I was so sick. I hated that. I got sick from these prenatals that my OB had given me. I took them in the morning because I remember it. I was like, dude, I don't want to take these in the morning. I really considered starting to take them at night, because if I was getting sick at night, it was at night. Like, who cares? I took them in the morning. We went out for a lunch, and I couldn't even make it through lunch. I came back on my birthday, came back to the hotel and slept for hours.
And this
is in the middle of the day.
This is where I had a hard time, because now we're in this hotel and Comic-Con is downstairs, and I just found out Comic-Con's downstairs. But my pregnant girlfriend is laying in bed sleeping.
I feel really bad for these audio listeners. I'm like sniffling all up in their ears. I'm so sorry.
My pregnant girlfriend's laying down sleeping, and I'm like, oh shoot, Comic-Con's there.
Honestly, if you would have been like, I'm going out, I'd been like, see ya.
Nah.
I felt so sick. I wouldn't have cared what you did.
I felt bad leaving you on your birthday, man. I passed out
for like 2 hours.
I was like, I can't leave her on her birthday, but like,
I was so sick. I would have been like, I'm not going, but that's all you.
Yeah.
Like, part of me felt bad because you were sitting in the hotel room. Like, I had to come back. I literally couldn't make it through lunch. I had gone to the bathroom. Like, typical, like, I just had to pee. But I felt so nauseous that I was nervous that I was going to throw up, which feeling, not even because I was being pregnant, just anytime I'm sick, like, feeling nauseous makes me anxious. So it just makes me feel even worse. So now I'm sitting here, like, knowing what it's from, like, it's morning sickness. I never actually threw up during my pregnancy, but I had a lot of morning sickness because of these prenatals. She gave me the prenatals to take, and they made me almost throw up every time I took them. But then it became hard because I was like, okay, I need to stop taking these. They're making me sick. I'm going to go get another source of prenatals. I went to Target, got these gummies. I thought they'd be gummies. I wouldn't have to swallow pills. I took those. You had to take 2 a day. 2 in the morning is what it said. Those made me sick. I couldn't take them. I don't know if it was the thought of just the gummies and morning sickness. And, you know, you go through like all these things pregnant, like some things that you used to love, you hate. Some things you used to hate, you love. I couldn't take those. So then I had to go just get a generic, like, Target brand pill to take, which in the morning I still felt kind of nauseous because I was in my first trimester being pregnant, but it wasn't nearly as bad as the other ones I was taking. But I went through really rough, like, first couple weeks after I found out because of the pills I was taking. And then fast forward a few months later, so that was September. Fast forward a few months later, end of October, early November, I go to a doctor's appointment, blackout, pass out. Have no idea what happened. I was standing there 1 minute, woke up the next minute on the floor, people calling my name, asking if I'm okay. Have no idea what happened. We were supposed to go to find the sex of the baby, and it didn't happen because I ended up in the emergency department hooked up to IVs because I was dehydrated.
Yeah.
After also a busy weekend at work.
Yeah.
So there was that.
I caught you.
What else happened? See, couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you what happened. That'd have to be on your end. I just remember hearing my name and waking up and I'm on the floor. And then
I laid you down.
They stood me up and I felt like I was going to pass out again. So then they put me on a stretcher and wheeled me down. And I was hooked up to IVs.
Alyssa was like, whoa. And I was like, whoa, what?
I don't even remember saying whoa. I couldn't tell you. I swear I was standing there 1 minute, on the floor the next. I couldn't even tell you how long I was out for.
Bro was taking all your new... Yo, he always been greedy. I'm about to go wake him up. You always been so greedy.
And
Stop
then again...
being greedy, boy.
So that was November. Fast forward a few months later, I'm going to give birth. Not planning nothing, not doing nothing. He... like I said, decided to come. So I was basically pregnant for 41 weeks in 1 day. I went in. We're waiting for things to progress. Homie's having his party in there. I don't know what he was doing. He was having some type of something. Next thing you know, I'm going in for emergency C-section.
He just sleeps crazy. Have you noticed that?
Yes, he does.
He just sleeps crazy. Like he does. He tumbles in his sleep.
Oh, trust me. I've known that from the get-go.
Like this dude, like literally just is all over the crib. Like you'll play him down one spot. And
that was him in the beginning, making me sick. I didn't even know I was pregnant yet. And every night I was like, dude, I don't feel good. That's a whole other story, though. That was my denial process.
Yeah.
I honestly didn't think I was pregnant. Julian was the one that brought it up. Thought did not come to mind. Julian was one that actually bought the pregnancy test too for me to take. Fun fact. I took it. That thing popped positive. I cried. What else is new? I cry for everything. Oh my God. Yeah.
Beautiful blessing.
The whole thing's definitely is, but it was definitely a,
beautiful surprise.
Crazy 9 months.
So on that same note, though, co-parenting, I think we're doing great.
I would say I think we're doing good so far. I like that. I don't know. Nothing crazy happened to where like we have to force to like each other for him. Mm-hmm. I feel like a lot of either like separated parents, divorced parents, co-parenting parents, not always have it this way. So they do have, I don't want to say a bad structure, but the kid definitely feels it growing up, depending on their age. And I'm glad, like, I don't know, we don't have that. So I'm definitely really thankful for that, for us and for him.
I agree.
But yeah.
Plans for the future. How am I'm taking this over, bro. This is now Julian's got to talk podcast.
You wanted this podcast. You should have taken it.
Julian's got to talk.
My eyes are going crazy now because I probably got makeup in them from crying. Plans for the future.
Well, I think I'm trying to prejudge questions what I think like they would want to know. Because you tell me they're curious, they care about this.
They do.
Okay.
Are you kidding?
So
I know y'all care and I appreciate it. I'm just letting them know that y'all care. I feel like that's a lot because, like I said, I haven't been on my own. So it is gonna be a lot, and then like especially like days I have him, I'm gonna be alone with him, which obviously like I've done it before. There's been instances where you've gone away, so it's not like I haven't done it.
Shout out to Seattle.
Yeah, so you went on a cruise, you went to Seattle.
That's it.
That's it. But I had one night. Oh my God, that one night. You had him for one night when you slept at your uncle's.
I had him there with me.
I know you had him, but that was the first night.
Oh, you stayed here by
I didn't
yourself.
have them.
Oh,
or
yeah.
I didn't have him.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, this is the weirdest thing ever. Like, it not tore me, but I really was like, dude, like, this is my first night without him since he's been born.
Yeah.
And it struck me that I was like, dude, like, you were literally right up the road, but like,
Guys trip.
it really, like, it was the first night I didn't have my son since he'd been born. And I was like, holy, I don't like this.
Do you have any advice for, like, any of the Girls Gotta Talk viewers?
I feel like I said, if you're in a relationship, they all go through their ups and downs. They all go through whatever. Really, really, really what I truly would say that I wish I could have told myself this like years ago is in order to help, I would say, like, your relationship, in order to help situations, you really, really have to help yourself first. I wish I would have taken some type of step to help myself in ways that I needed to be able to, like, be there for everyone else as much as I could have. You see a lot of things where it's like, oh, you got to fill your cup to fill into everyone else's. And that is so true. I really, at first, I would say, like, now I understand it. Back then, like, I would have been like, yeah, I get it. But I don't think I got it. I really understand it now that you really have to help yourself to be able to help others.
Sometimes you got to go through something, man.
You really have to, like, especially, like, not to keep it to, like, put you on back burner, but especially for him, like, I need to be okay to be a mother. Like, I need to be okay to make sure he's okay.
100%.
I mean, obviously it's the same thing with you. Like, I have to, like, be okay to, like, pour into, like, significant other role. But, like, I think I was trying to do those things without helping myself first, and it doesn't work. Let me be the first to tell you it doesn't work, because I can tell you, I feel like leaving my job and, I don't know, really starting to, like, help myself now. I'm better than where I was. A lot better than where I was, but I can tell you I went down a really bad mental spiral. Borderline scary, if we're being honest. But I think, I fix my necklace. I think I've recouped from a lot. I definitely have started to get in with myself a lot more. But yeah, the scary thing to me is that, I mean, I don't want to say they didn't know. They might have known and just not said anything. I was in a really bad, dark, scary spot and no one knew. Okay, like, I know you knew, but, like, outside of these four walls, like, no one knew. Unless they caught on and didn't say anything. Like, if you knew, like, you knew. But, like, a lot of, like, no one said anything to me. No one tried to bring anything up, if that makes sense. Yeah. So, like, thinking of, like, where I was, what I was going through, now looking back at where I was at, and no one knew, is really scary.
I tried.
I know.
I tried my best.
I know.
I did. I really did. I always say you could bring a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. And that was my approach with you, you know, like, I gave you the resources. I told you where to go. And
that's what I'm saying. You got to help yourself first. You really got to do it. It's uncomfortable, but you have to do it.
You got to the point where I would give you these things and you'd say, you basically would, like, throw it back in my face. Like, I don't want that type of vibe. And that's hard, you know, because, like, I'm doing this because I love you. You know what I mean? So, like, that part is hard. So that's
another, like, scary factor is, like, not realizing you need it. And then now looking back, I was like, dude, like, what?
Yeah. So, because I was worried. I'm not gonna lie to you, I was worried about you. And, you know, I really did. I tried to curve my own emotions and curve my own feelings towards what was going on to help service you better and help you better. But it got to the point where you didn't want the help, and I was doing a disservice to myself because I wasn't honest with me, and I wasn't being real with how I was actually feeling about what was going on.
Yeah.
You know? All right. I don't want to beat a dead horse. But I do think that that's important, guys. Check in on your friends because they could be going through something behind closed doors. And you never know. You really, unless you ask, unless they tell you, you would never know.
Facts. With that being said, that's all I have. I'm sorry for crying and sniffling in all your audio listener ears, but
we appreciate the honesty. I'm speaking for them now. We appreciate the rawness and the honesty on the show.
From me?
Yeah.
I knew this was going to happen. Like, I can tell you, like, I'm an open book. Might have to get to, like, a point and, like, start it. And then once I'm in, I'm like, all right, let's go type of situation. So I knew this was going to happen. I knew we'd get into this. I knew I'd be okay with talking. I knew I'd start crying because that's just who I am. But
I'm scared. I'm scared for this to come out. I hope y'all don't think I'm a bad person. I'm not.
No, we'll put it out there. He's not. He definitely did a lot, and I was just in denial. But that's part of the scary slope you go down when you're like kind of in too deep with yourself. But yeah, so thanks for being our first guest.
Of course.
First guest, and it's topic like this, but we got into it. This episode probably is going to be really long if you did listen to the whole thing. If you're still at this point, I appreciate you. I appreciate your support. I love you guys so much. Thank you for checking in on both of us. Because I know he has gotten some and I have gotten some. I definitely appreciate everyone reaching out. Even after this episode, if you want to, we're here to talk.
Yeah. If you have questions, man, seriously. I know you probably have a predominantly female audience, but fellas, like if you're out there, you're listening, like you want to talk, hit me up. Like I don't think I'm an example man by any means, but you know, if you're going through something similar or you want help navigating a situation that feels similar, like yeah, feel free, man. But
yeah, so we love you guys so much. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. But I'll see you in next week's episode. Bye.